Welcome back to Regiment. So let's see what the quest of today.
I thought the main character grew wings for a second.
Alright, Cactus Kid, don't...
It's our loyal rabbi, Darkstar.
Okay, Cactus Kid, no more acting up and throwing away our guests' property, please.
Pretty much.
If you fail, then I will get Wolverine on your own.
Poor cactus guy. Alright, now it's time to place another artifact, the Stone Eye. And let's see what it reveals.
Let me guess, an Earth Valley.
Surprisingly, no.
Huh.
Oh my god, it's...
Pirate Storm?
No.
It's the galaxy.
It's a tranquil mountain lake.
Okay.
Lake Kilma.
Yeah, you know, some of these artifacts kind of have no rhyme or reason with what they hold in.
Actually, by the end of his dungeon, you understand why.
Alright. Wait.
And obviously, as soon as we enter, the quest of the main one of the story arc quest starts.
Hooray. Aw, Darkstar, you're such a cute
There you go, it's you, Jova.
The scouts aren't back yet. Could the fairies have crushed them?
Oh, okay,
Fairies are the bad guys?
Oh, trust me, Jova, in this game, fairies are absolute bastards.
So basically, this is
this
payback.
is not a second game.
I think I made a joke about this in the last part or
So,
something.
so it's official, guys. This is our payback against Fairy Fencer F, then.
Good, Lisa.
Aye, very good. Captain, our comrade has arrived.
Very good, Jova. The captain is a warlord.
That's no comrade. One look will tell you that.
But the password was correct.
The password was what?
Ah, shut up! Back to the ship before those fairies find us.
But you spelled fairies wrong, sir.
There you go, he's lied.
We spell them with Gaelic, you should know.
The Gorgon Eye.
Oh, because it was a stone eye.
Yeah.
But sir, I'm English, not Irish.
Whoa, you
Too bad.
should have learned.
No, wait. Gaelic's Scotland, so Scottish, sorry.
Well, it's generally Celtic.
Yeah.
Whatever, I'm English.
It's still not England, just everywhere else.
I'm an Anglo, okay?
Web, stop belittling every language that's not your own.
England is basically the odd one out in the UK.
Well, in general, if I recall correctly,
Pedro, I'll do that when Wales makes a language that isn't gibberish to understand.
If I recall correctly, in general,
meth. Oh my God, we have a meth wing.
Meth.
Guys,
the
dude, we
entire
can
British
totally make a lot of money.
If I recall, the entire British civilization is like a melting pot of several things: the Celtic, the Normans, and then there were the two major factions, the Britons and the Saxons.
So the Celtics are. So the Celtics are harvesting meth.
I guess.
So what does a meth wing do, I wonder? Does it make you fly so high that you die?
It's like
Red
Bull.
Wings.
Yes.
No wonder I hate Red Bull then.
Boy, no wonder England wanted to split off from them then. They didn't want to be associated with the drugs.
Yeah, we gave up.
Anyway, essentially this dungeon is relatively easy. It's pretty straightforward.
Ow!
Thank you. And the major quest here, again, as I mentioned, involves these band of pirates, which for some reason are very desperate to go back to their ship. However, this is only the starting tip, because after this, the pirate crew will actually be featuring several quests. It will actually kind of cross over in some of the other major story arcs. Not one of the major things, I think, but in some of the others, they're gonna do their appearance and do stuff on their own.
Now a
So
question.
it's really fun. Good. There you go. Some of the penguins are statues now.
Yep, Gorgon's Eye because Stoner. Now, question to you. Depending on whether or not you do certain side quests, does that ever affect, like, you know, what characters may show up or cross over into other side
Unfortunately,
events?
no, Jova, and because of this, there's also the terrible side effect of some characters that you may have not met up until that point to just show the fuck out of nowhere.
So that means that you have to do this quest in order to do certain other quests that these guys cross over into.
Not necessarily, Jova. It's exactly what I said. you can avoid this quest, but if you do some of the others, these characters that appear here will appear there, and you will have no idea who they are or where they come from. It's apparently it's especially clear in the there's a treasure. Go ahead, Perry, you'll be this sage.
Okay. Excuse me, young one.
It's a turtle.
Hello, I'm just a turtle.
Is that a woman?
No.
I have a favor.
The
I have a
hair.
favor to ask you. Could you stand still right there for me?
Thankfully, he's not Morna of Neverending Story, so.
Spin, spin, spin. You spin me whatever.
You spin
thank you,
me
young
around.
one. Thank you, young one. The pirates did this to me. They trampled me on the way to look for the treasure. Now all you have to do is bring me to the sea, and I'll bring you an old man and we'll give you a magic cloud. By the way, Sonny, can you see the fairies right here?
No.
Fairies here do not show themselves to anyone. Unless
You look for a certain stone.
they think you're harmful. It seems like the fairies trust you. I will cast a spell so you will be able to see them.
So let
So
me get this
essentially-
straight. Fairies only show themselves if they think you're harmful.
So essentially making me an asshole to their eyes. Thank you.
Doesn't that mean they're gonna attack us?
Well, Jova,
Actually-
like you yourself said, this is very
Payback.
similar to Fairy Fence Ref.
This
They
is
only
pay-
show they like assholes.
We show our lives with the master. If he dies, we die.
Oh, so it's like Nights into Dreams.
Not just
And
that.
again,
Joe.
and again, yet another fairies that die when the master dies. The similarities
Wow.
are fucking. Ugh.
Again, Joe, as I mentioned, fairies in this particular game are a special kind breed of assholes, because remember, Joe, there's one of the major story arcs is tied to them, and for a good reason.
So I'm guessing this is paying homage to Peter Pan, where fairies can be borderline evil.
It's more also the original folklore. You see, Jova, before Hollywood thought that fairies were these tiny little cute creatures with underpants and pixie dust, they were actually the traditional folklore. They were these malevolent spirits that wanted to be tricksters and deceive people. So it's the same what happened with the gnomes. The modern folklore made them much more kid-friendly in that regard.
To be fair, Jay, wasn't the whole tiny and pixie dust thing from Jim Barry when he wrote Peter Pan?
I don't know exactly the pinpoint of that, but if I recall correctly, Tinkerbell in the original book is much more, the trickster persona.
She's
No,
more
yeah,
web-
no,
She
no,
tries
she
to have
is.
Wendy flipping killed.
Oh no, I know that. I'm just saying. I was talking about specifically the size, like you said, tiny and pixie dust. I'm pretty sure that was in the original book.
No, I don't mean the size was always tiny in that regard. I was referring also to the appearances. The Harry Potter book of stranger animals and where to find them. Sorry, don't remember the title right now. Actually has a description of the fairies which more akin to what they were considering in the folklore, which are these little black-furred, spirits.
One
with,
Fantastic
muffins.
beasts and where to find.
One
Yeah,
interesting
okay.
take on fairies I've heard is the one from Artemis Fowl, where technically it considers all the mythical beasts to be fairies, and it turns out that, stuff like, say, elves or dwarves or centaurs are different types of fairies, It's like, it went off with the idea that people
It's
get it
to be a
wrong.
species, you mean?
Yeah, pretty much. Whereas I
If
think
I
about it
recall
like,
correctly, some of fantasy stories tend to classify, groups of monsters in a particular category, like demons or similar. Like so, fairies, it's not much of a stretch. Go ahead.
penguins, we face too great a risk. Back to the ship. So a walrus is in charge of penguins.
Yes. Go ahead, Libs.
I can't get stoned,
That's petrified, not stoned, you fools. Was that supposed to be a joke?
No, the joke was supposed to be that's the danger in
One
getting.
more stupid joke, and
Oh.
I'll have y'all
Gasp.
Suspense.
clumped in your heads. I was gonna say he hauled.
Captain, I ain't a powerful enough threat.
Yeah. Hold on.
Say I'll kill you all first, Captain.
Oliver Penguin has been with yours, Captain.
What? Kill is such a harsh word. Me mother said so
Pirates.
before, you know.
There you go. This the
It's-
captain is actually polite.
It's not that I want to kill them. I just don't want them to be alive anymore.
Totally different, isn't it?
And listen, penguins, one more stupid joke and I will kill ye all!
Yay!
Yay, that was wonderful. You are a real pirate.
You are a
Now let's
pirate.
go avenge our stonified shipmates. Pedro, apparently that seal that moves backwards in Inokuni, that's familiar, started here.
Well, yeah. That's the whole thing on Inokuni, too. Drawing from every 90s JRPG in the book.
Also, so I can now
There's
see,
1,000, but still.
also I now see where Toby Fox got the idea for those vegetable enemies.
Yeah, they kinda look similar to that. Also, eyes.
Ouch.
Well, it's still not as crazy as, for example, in Castle of Illusion. I'm not even kidding, Joe, but due to the setting, there's one level which is in a giant library, and the letter A attacks you. And little tiny, and guess what, Jova? In the HD remake, every time they jump or do something, they say the letter A in different way, like hey.
Wow.
Is this the one getting remade, or is that another one?
It's the one that got a remake in like I think it was 2000.
No, I meant, is this the game getting that remake next
No,
year?
no. That one was
Secret of Mana.
Penguins are a type of human, aren't they?
Totally, Miss Fairy. So what are these
So
fairies?
yeah, the enemy. Another thing, you better not touch the treasure chest, otherwise the fairies will actually punish you.
How much so?
If I recall correctly, they send you back to the entrance of the dungeon, and obviously they reset all the enemy encounters. So
How much you want to bet the master for them is Medusa?
well, we'll see, Jova, because
Although-
we're facing the boss in this particular site. Actually, very soon enough,
Then
after this thing.
Though, if we're Medusa, wouldn't it be Mistress? Or what, are they afraid of lesbian things because all the fairies seem to be female?
Well, we'll see, Jova. Don't worry, because apparently the pirates have nowhere to run. Oh, shit.
Well, crud.
You must sacrifice yourself to the master too.
Wait, the penguin started this.
Captain of the year, ladies and gentlemen.
What happened? Did they mutiny?
No.
Alright. Pedro?
Oh, sorry. Okay. Oh my, this is getting worse.
Wait.
Oh.
This is like the 5th captain we've killed this week.
Once you go down, you can't come back up by yourself. It must be worth risking your own life. How much HP are you willing to sacrifice?
Well, Teal,
Well,
how
let's
much?
see. Enough!
Ta-da.
I shall go too.
Okay.
I have to go now. My planet needs me.
It wouldn't be my island needs me.
Darkstar,
then
now
he,
it's not the time to be sleeping while we're falling.
and then he died on the way back to his
Oh
home.
no, the captain is turned to stone.
Huh.
Waves.
Captain, get over yourself!
Yeah, sorry. Humans think the master of this lake hid the treasure. Fairies believe they will die if the master. But both are.
Don't worry, Pedro, that game can't hurt you here.
Shut up, Turtle. Do something about our captain.
Well then, how about if you penguins become live? Excuse me? That person over there brings down the monster. I'm an
Brilliant.
asshole like that.
And guess what, guys? That turtle is supposed to be one of the 7 sages.
Oh,
Uh,
goody.
And that master is huge or something.
Yes, he is.
Hey, don't talk about me down there.
How big is he?
Very
Right.
good.
I'm out of here. He is as large as the area stretching from this spot to.
I'm out of here.
I think the old man finally snapped. Over here.
Where's you?
Spoiler, he's not actually that big.
Throw him off a cliff. Well, I guess your strategy ain't bad, but
At least I will start this one.
Oh, look at that. Watch what he's gonna do to hook the bait. What are you doing?
What?
hey!
Nothing hurts.
Don't
What
worry.
an asshole.
I know, right?
You're
Well, the captain deserved it.
Now it is your turn to take over.
you monster.
I'm in charge now.
So, boss time.
Who are we fighting? Let's see.
Well, we'll see.
It can't
the
be
loading screen, the game's becoming meta.
Now it's in water, but it can't be Cala Maria because she didn't
It's
exist yet.
sea urchin with an eye, I guess.
Okay.
What the hell?
Alright, now fight that thing for my amusement.
Too bad that the power of Stan Lao King is making this fight very easy.
I think this is Pokemon.
Also, apparently whoever made this game actually took a lesson from Kirby because a lot of monsters actually attack you like throwing a star.
Oh, nice. What's Sakura involved? Uh-oh. Watch
thing-
out,
the
he's
thing
up to
is-
something.
Yeah, the thing is, remember, he's vulnerable only to the eye. Just like everyone else, he just parry the attack. And he's gonna try one of his special attacks. Hello? No, Dark Star! We just did it. He petrified Dark Star.
Hey.
Well, shit, and that is the reason why Dark Star is in the commentaries. He turned to stone, and we've been trying to get him back, but so
Oh,
far-
don't worry, Dweebs. Just call Stanley, and he's gonna use his green thumb to make everything better.
Why I can use the salty tears of Man United fans at the moment.
Hey,
They basically they just lost in a cup game to Bristol City, a
There we
division
go.
below them.
But Dweebs, don't you know? Mourinho specifically said that we should be careful about Bristol.
You lost to Bristol City.
They like the underdogs.
Alright.
It's like he predicted it. So
Bristol itself is a very nice place. I don't know about their football team.
They have two football teams actually, and
Oh, there you
basically
go.
two of them. Bristol City are a division below Man United.
Okay. Yeah. Well, our stratified mates must be back to normal now. So the fairies were worshipping a giant eye.
Yeah. Basically, that's gonna be a hint for you later on for the main fairy, fairy story arc. The fact that the fairies seem to be worshipping very powerful beings that are near them.
Do as she says.
yeah.
Dot, 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 dot. Okay, let's see what happens.
It doesn't reach to the top of the cliff thing.
So
Oh,
we're
no.
stranded-
Wait.
So now you
Those
must die.
Those are meant to be penguins.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're,
they-
they're
they
rock
are there.
hoppers.
And we get another artifact, the Firefly Lamp. There you go, that's what the captain looks like.
The Gorgon Eye.
The captain's a walrus, while the penguins appear to be rock
The mages,
hoppers.
yeah.
I'll be right back.
Sure, now it's only time to report. And after that, I think we're gonna do one of our rows of... oh no, first we're gonna do another minor side quest, and then another one of those tutorials, like side quests, telling you another specific mechanic that you can do in the game. And much like with blacksmithing, it's complicated as fuck.
You know, if there's one thing I would like for a remake, it's for the overall arcing story that leads up to the final boss to be more apparent. Like, now don't get me wrong, I'm liking all these different stories here and there, but unlike,
The,
you know...
Joe, the solution will be simple: having an actual quest log that is structured in, like a diagram. that makes beings connected to each other.
Not only that, but this literally just feels like a bunch of random hijinks. Like, you know, I mean, I'll give Yokai Watch one credit. While a lot of those were essentially daily life stuff, they actually did tie up together, you know, come near the end. It turned out that, you know, the yokai were showing up because of the bad guy, who sadly never shows up outside that game. Seriously! That guy was awesome!
Well, and not just that, Joe, but the thing about the first game is that it's going for the mother vibe in the sense that it's supposed more to be a more kid in having a summer adventure with his friends, slice of life kind of deal. So
unless we're talking about Mother Free, Summer Vacation, my rear end.
Well, yeah, but I'm talking specifically about the first two.
Fair enough. But
yeah, that's one vacation.
Yeah, I mean,
usually when people think of Mother, they think of Earthbound.
Really? Because I hear a lot of people asking, "Give us Mother
name.
Free, Reggie."
No, it's because
How about this instead?
like Shiro said, it was the first Mother game to come out outside of Japan, so obviously it's the most recognized one.
Of course, we call it Earthbound over here.
It's Mother 2, but whatever.
Yeah, that's a weird thing. It's like, well, I mean, when Mother 1 came over here, it was called Earthbound Beginnings, and yet it's really weird how the protagonist looks exactly like,
I can understand that. I can understand that because it was kind of a trend back in the 90s where a sequel would come out in the West even though the first one didn't come out, so they would just change the name to avoid confusion.
What I'm really weirded out is how the protagonists in Earthbound and Earthbound Beginnings look the same, yet they're different people.
Yeah. Anyway, now we're gonna have to go to Professor Bomb's laboratory. Yes, there's a guy called Professor Bomb.
And he
looks like a furball.
Well, let me guess, his profession has to do with indoor house cleaning.
Surprisingly, no, Golemology.
Huh.
All things. And here's the problem. He actually made a golem, but it actually got lost, so we need to track it down.
Oh god, is this like Trash Man from the Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story game?
Thankfully no, but you get kind of like at the idea of this in a sense that golems in this game can be either weak or extremely powerful depending on where do you encounter them or how do you make them, because after this quest the professor will actually teach you basic golemology.
He named it Pavlov. Isn't that like translatable to Pavel?
Depends. Pavlov is actually a Russian name, so I guess Pavel took from that.
It's one of those things, Jova, where certain RPGs like this one and Mother tend to go unorthodox in the sense that it's not so much more about like a proper story, more so like it's about the being in this world and, you know, getting to familiarize yourself with the populace and
It's
stuff.
all the little moments.
I guess I'm all fine with that. I guess my issue is like, well, they kind of try to have their cake and eat it. It's like, well, you know, I'm fine if you want to do this. The problem is that, well, you know, then they bring in the overarching narrative, and then you kind of feel a bit lost when they get back to it. With Mother, it was more so a case that it was literally just hijinks up until the final boss. Whereas with this one, you have all these different storylines here and there. But while they do intersect with each other, you know, like, characters from different storylines show up in these quests here and there, I don't really get the sense of progression that they're leading up to this big event. Like, well, we don't even know what the overarching dilemma is.
That's because, Jova, that it's due to having all these things to start at the same time, that the initial part is relatively very slow. Oh, look at that, we found the golem.
I guess that's one thing I would hope for, you know, a remake, if there is a remake, for them to, you know, establish the overarching narrative a bit better.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, especially when it comes to what becomes essentially your main antagonist, you don't really get a lot of insight into why he's shit.
Actually, not that, Shirei, that thing will be fixed for each of the major free story arcs in specific quests tied to them before their end.
Are we talking about the Mother series or this series?
No,
Mother,
this one.
Mother.
No.
Mother.
Oh, I was talking about this one, but yeah, it's
No,
their mother,
sorry,
yeah.
Which
Anyway,
reminds me. Sorry.
Essentially, now we need to pet the golem. It's relatively easy. Go ahead, Pedro.
Oh, good, you're doing the whole fat body trick on him.
Which reminds me, Nintendo. I'm still waiting for that localization of Mother 3.
Yeah, I mean, seriously,
saying.
you think they'd
Well,
have
hey,
done...
I mean, Atlas gave you your Catherine remake.
I mean, okay, but
Well, more so a remaster from the screenshots that I.
Well,
yeah.
Pedro, apparently the new content seems to be meaty enough.
Yeah, I'm a bit hesitant because I mean one of the big themes of the story in the game was the duality between the two Catherines. So having a third one, I don't see how they're gonna make that fit. But I trust Ashino and his team. I mean, they've never let me down before.
so that's
I'm
definitely
sure
gonna
they
be a
can
few...
make it work, but I definitely feel the same about it.
Yeah, I mean, so it's...
After Persona 3, 4, 5, then Catherine, I have complete faith in Ashino. I'm sure he'll find a way to make it.
Yeah, I guess I'm wondering is like, why do this with Catherine? I mean, like, well, I mean, I'm not saying that I would have never wanted it, but it feels a little, late to make, what's essentially like, a Pokemon White or Black 2.
My guess, Jova, is that the first Catherine, while being critically acclaimed, wasn't exactly the biggest seller. Definitely didn't sell as much as the Persona games. However, Ashino and his team are still really passionate about that, so they figured, okay, this Persona 5 was really popular. Maybe we can try remastering Catherine on the PS4, and maybe now we'll find a better audience now that we have actually had more exposition.
Well, from what I've seen around, Catherine definitely got more popular over time. Unfortunately, it was too much.
Yeah,
So-
too late.
Yeah.
And another thing I have to wonder, how are they going to name the third Catherine differently? Like, that was also part of the whole thing.
The Russian Jova, Katarina.
Yeah.
Well, then, isn't she more a
Maybe
cat?
what can...
Oh, whatever.
Oh, sorry.
Isn't she more than a cat than a Catherine?
That's
Maybe-
actually a diminutive, I think.
Maybe they'll have a K and a C
Yeah.
in the same word. Maybe KC Catherine will be a fusion of the two or something like that.
With our powers
Well, I was
combined.
just gonna say, considering what we know about the other two Catherines, maybe she's a kind of a neutral route thing.
Hey! If it means I get to hear Laura Bailey playing C Catherine again,
Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Wouldn't
You
it be
can still
fun?
re-record the lines.
Oh my god, guys, wouldn't it be funny if the plot twist turns out to be that the third Catherine is actually like the two other Catherines fused from the future, and it turns out getting her is the ultimate ending?
No.
I actually have different fears in a sense that maybe we wanted to create this one to make an angelic figure to counter the succubus that C. Catherine is, and as such, K. Catherine is gonna be rewritten as a more neutral in the middle because she's human.
that can work. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
I guess it
Anyway,
depends on to what-
it's up to you, I think.
I guess it depends on to what level they're, remaking the game. Like, well, is it literally going to be the same game with just, the new Catherine added in and obviously new endings added for her? Or are they actually going to
No,
change?
they're according to some Persona accounts, there's gonna be new scenes.
Yeah, there's gonna
Oh.
be the plot is gonna be completely rewritten apparently.
So it's essentially like Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. Okay, this could be interesting.
Wasn't Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon just the same plot for a few things changed?
Remember this,
Actually,
there
no,
were-
Dweebs.
Actually, it wasn't.
Yeah,
Hang on, I just realised something. Since the
Joy
new
got
Catherine-
into the game before you did, and you're the Pokemon fan.
Since the new Catherine's a remake,
Dweebs, you don't have a monopoly on remakes, if that's what you're about to ask. But, are you tempted? Because I thought you
Not
hated
just
puzzle
that,
games.
I think Pedro is enough of a fan to actually deserve a second chance to that game anyway.
I mean,
Anyway,
It depends on how much new content is. Maybe we'll make it as an addendum to my playthrough. We'll see how it goes.
here's the other issue, though, Dweebs. You have to be very tolerable of puzzle platforming. Like, trust me, even
Yeah,
on
there's that
easy
too.
mode, that game...
Incredibly difficult.
Dwibs, I would not trust you with that game, so please allow me.
Like, trust me, Dweebs, even on easy mode.
you guys are trusting me with Nier Automata. There should be nothing.
But
Nier
Nier
Automata
Automata is
has
more
an
of an
easy
action...
mode.
And Nier Automata is more of an action game, which is more your thing. I mean, again, Dweebs, you yourself said that... Okay, look. Puzzles in Layton are one thing. You at least can usually do this on your own time. Catherine is essentially timed puzzling, as in, you have
Yeah.
to be thinking fast. So, again, I mean, I have to wonder, are you tolerable enough for that?
Again, we'll have to see if there's even enough content to justify either a new playthrough or just an addendum.
Well,
we'll see. At
yeah, true,
worst,
that
we'll
does
just
depend.
at worst we'll just do an addendum to my playthrough, and I'll do it myself since I'll be getting the game regardless.
Anyway,
I'll be getting it
the-
too, since I've never had it, and I think it needs good support.
I'm actually more surprised that it's also coming for the PS Vita.
Hey, there's
Wait,
There's
what?
also there's puzzles in
Well,
Persona
like people-
5, and I could.
Well, remember too, the Vita is still popular in Japan somewhat.
It
And
is.
I can attest to that. There's a lot of Vita advertisement.
So is that why Sony are so desperate with the Vita? It does well in Japan.
It's not so much that, Jova. They're just allowing third-party developers to keep it alive, basically.
They themselves just don't care anymore.
Shiori,
Mm-hmm.
have you seen any Western-made stuff there?
Oh, plenty.
Do
I
tell.
mean, like what? I mean, well, like I wonder what anything that was made in the West that's popular in Japan as well.
Life is
Dwibs,
Strange, for example.
Dwibs. To get Frozen is the highest-grossing movie in Japanese history. Just to give you an idea, they're pretty much.
I'm on about
Uh,
video games because I've
Well,
heard.
in video games,
what?
I haven't seen that much, but in terms of other things like comic books and Western TV shows, there's actually quite a.
See, here's the thing about video games, dudes. Japan themselves are very xenophobic when it comes to even allowing games from the West to be shipped over there.
Yeah, which is funny though, because I've heard LA Noir games is actually quite popular over there.
Yeah, it is. Again, look, this is a
That's because
problem.
that's supposed to because LA Noir is mostly a puzzle mystery game, and the Japanese are all over that.
I
Well,
haven't really seen a lot of that, but I've seen a lot of Nia.
yeah. Again. See, this is sort of an issue with Japan. They're way too xenophobic with what they allow in and out at times, and that does
Yeah, I know.
extend to video
Yes, I
games.
know.
That's why the Xbox is a failure there.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was just gonna say I've barely seen a lick of Xbox-related stuff here. I'm not even kidding.
The only probably the only reason why Crash was popular in Japan was because Naughty Dog had to do a lot of work on the original game to make it more Japanese friendly.
Well, Shuri, believe it or not, Microsoft have quite possibly some of the worst luck with Japanese devs. Like, they actually managed to tick off Akira Hino of all people, and they parted on bad
The
terms
guy
with Level
who got
5.
the guy who got Ghibli to work with.
Like, seriously.
It's more so. It's because of the fact that Level 5 was working on a game with them, and let's just say Microsoft.
Scale-bound. They scale-bounded it.
Yeah. It was a scale-bound situation, basically.
Well, I've seen there's a lot of PlayStation and Nintendo, and even like so many games from classic consoles. But in
Yeah.
terms of Microsoft and the Xbox, not
Basically-
really anything.
Basically, Shiro, in an interview, Hino said that it had to do with Microsoft's inexperience dealing with Japanese developers, and he also ended the interview implying that the two companies did not part amicably, basically. So,
Yeah.
Headcanon guy. Headcanon guys. You know, Ellis from Die Hard, the international relations guy? He's the one who handled the diplomacy between Microsoft and Level 5.
Wait, so basically you're saying Akira Hino in the head?
No.
what?
No. You see,
Remember,
dude,
you tried to negotiate with Hans and that didn't end well.
basically, Dwibs, before he worked at that other Japanese building, he tried working with Microsoft as their international relations guy.
But why did Nakatomi hire him then?
Well, this is the same guy who had the password be essentially his name minus one letter.
Which is interesting because the reason Mistwalker did that partnership with Microsoft back in the day was because there was a guy at the Japanese guy at Microsoft. There was a friend of Sakaguchi. I forgot his name.
Yeah.
Um.
Mistwalker and like Lost Legacy. Those were cases where Microsoft managed to pull it off. Well, isn't that what it's called?
I think you mean Lost Odyssey.
Yes, Lost Odyssey. Dang it. but yeah. Surprisingly.
Mistwalker is the name of the studio, Jova. I think you mean Blue Dragon and Lost Odyssey. Go ahead.
Oopsie. But yeah, I mean, surprisingly, despite Blue Dragon definitely not being the best, the Xbox 360, I think, is the case where Microsoft were the most popular they've been in their careers with Japan.
Basically, yeah.
And then the Xbox One got rid of region free, making it region locked when it was first announced, and well, that didn't give them a good first impression, now did it?
Anyway.
So, this guy, shoot, we've been
Yeah,
talking.
hold on, Jova. Essentially, as I mentioned, Professor Bomb is essentially telling you how to make a golem. Don't worry, I'm not gonna even bother making one in this game.
Oh, so
Combine
that's
this
why we
one.
don't need to pay attention. Okay.
Don't worry, Joe. If something important happens, I make sure to just point it out. So,
So
don't worry.
Are golems essentially
no,
summons?
yeah, it's similar to blacksmith. You need to use weapons and some other loot materials, but essentially, and their power is determined by what you use. The better the material, the better the quality of the golem, and the more powerful it is. The problem is, I think they don't scale with your level, so they're only stuck. The thing is, if you use the right material in the game, you can create a beast that counts as the ultimate weapon for you.
So are golems essentially like, another form of pet you can use? Are they summons?
Yes, they take your pet slot of the party. But as I mentioned, I'm not gonna bother.
Golem, go make 'em. I don't get
Yes.
it.
Golem.
Golem, go make 'em. I really don't get that one. Oh well.
It's some, I guess, alliteration.
To answer your question, Shiroi, about earlier about re-recording the voices, well, Troy and Laura still sound pretty much exactly like they did back then, so it wouldn't be a problem for them to just get back in there. And...
voice actor nowadays, they have to do constantly that with updates, even with stuff like fighting games or even games that get DLC.
Now the only
They'll probably just get Matthew Mercer in.
Now, the only time when it's really jarring is when there was a remake of Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories for the PS2.
Yeah, well, that was for puberty's sake, so...
Well, that was puberty. It's beyond control.
Yeah, but yeah...
It's gonna happen when it's gonna happen.
Okay. Now, I mean, who knows? I mean, for all we know, the story could be rewritten so heavily that they're gonna go, might as well re-record all the lines.
Alright, let Weaves read this last one, might as well. It's one of the last, actually.
Flame of Hope, Nick's Business too.
We're gonna go in workshop.
I can put some stuff together. I made my own golem. My master showed that to the resume for future job hunting.
I guess.
Well, here's the thing. Look at it this way, Joe. At least it wasn't like in Sword in the Stone, where the kid playing Arthur literally went through puberty while the movie's going on. Like literally. Like, have you seen that movie, Shiroi? Sword in the Stone.
Which movie?
Sword in the Stone.
Yes. Wait, with the original animated version, or?
Yeah, Disney's adaptation of the King Arthur's Tale.
Yes.
Yeah. You might notice how the kid literally starts off in preteen voice and has his balls drop over the course of the movie, and by the end of it, he's basically a different voice. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Anyway, in the next part,
sorry.
In the next part, we're gonna reach one of my favorite places of the entire game, the city where never sleeps, Lumina.
Oh,
The city that never sleeps, eh?
And we're gonna get
Las Vegas?
New York, dang it!
Oh, New York, okay.
We're gonna get one of my favorite actual quests in the entire game, talking with the dot bears. Be ready for that, Weebs.
Bears!
Yeah, boy.
This is
All right,
not
see you for
over!
that.
Bears!
Yeah,
See
watch
you
over
for
that.
that.
See ya.